Rescuers trying to save people trapped in Ukraine's dam disaster have been warned the floodwaters could have washed anti-personnel mines downstream.
The European Commission takes legal action against Poland as it tries blocking a law that could allow its ruling party to undermine the electability of opposition politicians.
The Vatican confirms there were no complications after Pope Francis undergoes intestinal surgery.
Hell and high water. Rescuers saving people flooded out of their homes by the destruction of the Kakhovka dam in southern Ukraine have been warned the swollen Dnipro River may have washed anti-personnel mines downstream. The lethal legacy of this man-made disaster could last for decades, and it marks a new low for the region's war-weary people.
Все вместе, и то, и то. Мы к выстрелам уже как-то привыкли, а это стихийное такое, это вообще кошмар.
Kyiv estimates 20,000 people are without drinking water or power, but says over 1,400 have been rescued.
Ну, говорят, что местные жители говорят, что много очень людей, и мы сейчас по возможности нам скидывают геолокации, мы именно их забираем. Животные, люди, только по геолокации работаем, по рациям, по геолокациям.
In occupied Kakhovka itself, officials appointed by Russia assess the damage to communities on the river's left bank. More hardship for residents.
Уже и стреляли, и полили, и уже и затопили. Как жили, так и будем жить. Все есть, газ есть, свет есть. Ой, света нету, газ и вода есть. Света нету, и долго не будет. Трансформаторная будка в воде.
Russia's accused Ukraine of shelling the dam, a claim denounced by Kyiv, which had told international agencies occupiers had mined the structure in October. The disaster could turn the region's fields to dust as the reservoir fed irrigation canals, spelling hunger for countries reliant on its harvests.
The Institute for the Study of War cannot offer a definitive assessment of responsibility for the Kakhovka Dam incident at this time, but finds that the balance of evidence, reasoning and rhetoric suggests that the Russians deliberately damaged the dam. In October last year, the think tank issued the following assessment. The Russians have a greater and clearer interest in flooding the lower Dnipro, despite the damage to their own prepared defensive positions and forces, than the Ukrainians. Back in October, the Institute for the Study of War said Ukraine has no material interest in blowing the dam, and by contrast, Russia may use the flooding to widen the Dnipro River and complicate Ukrainian counteroffensive attempts across the already challenging water feature. Russian sources have been expressing intense and explicit concern over the possibility that Ukraine has been preparing to cross the river and counterattack into East Bank Kherson region. End of April, the Institute for the Study of War reports that Ukrainian forces established an enduring presence in certain areas of East Bank Kherson region, but not a bridgehead. Its geolocated footage published on the 23rd of April indicates that Ukrainian forces are operating in the areas northwest of Oleshki on the east bank of Dnipro. The 1st of June, the Institute for the Study of War says Ukrainian forces continue to operate in the Dnipro River Delta. Geolocated combat footage posted on the 1st of June shows Russian artillery strikes against Ukrainian forces, likely reconnaissance elements, on a part of this island. Now, here is the before and after showing flooding downstream and some of the Delta islands and wetlands entirely submerged. The Institute for the Study of War says available footage suggests that the flooding washed away Ukrainian positions near the Dnipro shoreline and forced Ukrainian formations to evacuate while under Russian artillery fire. Ukrainian officials offered assurance that the damage to the dam and subsequent flooding will not impede Ukrainian counteroffensive preparations.
The European Commission is launching an infringement procedure against Poland to block a law that could allow its ruling party to undermine the electability of opposition leader Donald Tusk. The bill, which many consider unconstitutional, foresees the creation of a state commission to investigate Russia's influence on the internal security of Poland. And this would be without any judicial oversight and run by a chair appointed by the Prime Minister.
The College agreed to start an infringement procedure by sending a letter of formal notice in relation to the new law on the State Committee for Examination of Russian Influence.
Brussels and Washington worry the committee could be used to target politicians in the run-up to the country's general election later this year. The procedure could eventually lead to financial sanctions against Poland, which is the strongest card the EU's executive arm could play, as one expert explains.
The biggest success that the European Union has in the recent years was with holding back the recovery fund, 36 billion euro, a magnitude higher amount, and that has prompted Poland last year to revise the law on judiciary, to remove some parts of the muzzle law, to disband the disciplinary chamber. What we see clearly from the last few years is that the only way it works with the current Polish government is when financial pressure is being applied. And then we see some success.
The letter is expected to be sent on Thursday, after which Poland will have 3 weeks to respond.
The Vatican has confirmed there were no complications after Pope Francis underwent surgery for intestinal obstruction. The 86-year-old pontiff was admitted to the Gemelli Hospital in Rome on Wednesday morning and was put under general anaesthesia. He will stay in hospital for several days.
È la seconda volta dopo il 2021 che Papa Francesco si sottopone ad un intervento all'addome, un intervento che però questa volta si è reso necessario, riferisce il Vaticano, a causa dei dolori ricorrenti accusati dal pontefice. Così ha deciso l'equipe di medici che lo segue presso l'ospedale Gemelli di Roma. Stando a quanto riferito dal Vaticano, il Papa dovrà trascorrere diversi giorni in ospedale dopo l'operazione per garantire il pieno recupero delle condizioni fisiche. Sappiamo anche che questo intervento è stato deciso dopo un ultimo controllo avvenuto nella giornata di martedì. Le condizioni di salute del pontefice sono state di recente al centro delle cronache dopo l'ultimo ricovero avvenuto a marzo per problemi respiratori. Giorgia Orlandi, Euronews, Roma.
There is a long road ahead for the global economy, but is now turning a corner after 3 years of repeated crises. That's according to the latest economic outlook by the OECD in Paris on Wednesday. The group, made up of 38 member countries, forecasted that the world economy will only grow by 2.7% this year. But there is a stark difference between estimated growth in emerging giants such as India and China, which are expected to grow by 6 and 5.4% respectively, and the Eurozone.
Impact on the feeding through of tighter monetary policy.
In the euro area, GDP growth is projected to be 0.9% this year and expected to pick up to 1.5% in 2024, helped by rising real incomes as inflation eases. Private consumption will be supported by tight labour markets, lower household savings.
But the path ahead is also fraught with risks, as high inflation limiting household spending, debt troubles in developing countries, and high interest rates could have unforeseen effects on banks and investors. The group also warned that the global economic impact of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine is still a major concern, and that favorable conditions that helped improve its forecast, such as a mild winter in the bloc, might not be the case next year.
Argentine football star Lionel Messi has told Spanish media he's close to joining US side Inter Miami, owned by England legend David Beckham. The 7-time Ballon d'Or winner essentially became a free agent after bidding adieu to Paris Saint-Germain this season. The 35-year-old striker had been linked to a move to Saudi Arabia to potentially follow in the footsteps of Cristiano Ronaldo and Karim Benzema. His move to the States would be a major boost for American soccer, which has attracted superstars like Pelé, Wayne Rooney and Thierry Henry over the years.
19,500. That's the approximate number of children Ukraine says Russia has forcibly deported or abducted since the start of its full-scale invasion. Officials suspect thousands have been sent to re-education camps where they receive military training and new identities before being adopted by Russian families. A number of humanitarian organisations are working hard to bring missing children home. So far, the NGO Save Ukraine has helped rescue 118 missing youths.
So we provide just all legal work, psychological help if they need to, and all the financial help. We think through the route and make some preparations with our people, with our partners.
Kyiv has also opened centres tasked with returning children to Ukraine. But for the lucky few who make it back, it is just the beginning. The UN estimates that 3.5 million children in Ukraine have severe to catastrophic levels of needs, while 75% of parents say their children are experiencing psychological trauma.
This is one of the situations that's very sensitive also for families. Sometimes after they get the children, they don't even want to talk about it because they worry that something else might come after. But what we focus on is what we call reintegration, which is trying to see where the children have been, what have they gone through, and how can we make that simply go away.
To cope with the effects of war, Save the Children and UNICEF provide physical and mental health support, remote and digital classes for children, financial advice, parental advice and other essential services.
One of the most important things, though, as far as UNICEF's concerned, is to ensure that wherever children may be, no matter what the set of circumstances is, children do have an opportunity to access learning, whether it be in a formal school setting or whether it be online.
Rance warns that schools and resources will not be repaired overnight.
So recovery and rebuilding is not just about infrastructure, it's also about rebuilding the community and society here in Ukraine to be that which actually is child-centric and child-focused, puts children and their needs at the center, and that requires, of course, significant resources to do that.